I'm Gwyneira Isaac, curator for North American Ethnology, and I've been here for 2 years. I should also point out my initials are GLI, and when I was a kid they would call me Grease Lightning Isaac, so I should be right at home here. So my research focuses on the dynamics of knowledge diversity. This means I look at how people think, and when they form groups, how these groups follow specific patterns for transmitting and circulating knowledge. I call these collective patterns of thought knowledge systems. So why do we want to know about knowledge systems and the dynamics of knowledge diversity? Although we often think about knowledge and ideas as being abstract concepts, they have concrete consequences that affect our everyday lives. A good example of this are laws and regulations that stem from particular cultural values that determine what you should and should not do. I highlight the phrase cultural values here as we often encounter conflicts where cultures merge and values are not shared. And it is this area that I specialize, the intersection between cultural knowledge systems. I do research to find out how people mediate, resolve, or contest cultural differences in the use of knowledge. This is vital if we're to understand how we think within our distinct cultures, and moreover, in this global era, how we also think as complex and at times merged cultures with a myriad of different layers and cultural beliefs. This is essential because up until now, anthropological methods have focused on the dynamics within cultures. Research is needed to look at the knowledge dynamics that occur where cultures intersect, and this is a gap I seek to address. So my primary research site is in New Mexico in the Pueblo of Zuni. It's a Native American community of about 10,000 individuals. The reservation spans some 420,000 acres, the majority of which is fragile and prone to erosion, and this is an environmental factor that limits the expansion of farming interests in the region. Zuni is of interest to archaeologists, historians, and anthropologists, as it is one of the oldest continuously inhabited towns in the US. The desert farming attracts ecologists and ethnobotanists interested in recording this specialized environmental knowledge. But why am I interested in Zuni? In the 19th century, when the Smithsonian developed an anthropological division, the first of its kind in the country, Zuni was the first community it chose to study. The anthropologist Frank Hamilton Cushing provided some of the first immersive ethnographic data collected in the field, so our collections are some of the earliest and the most comprehensive of their kind. And here's one of my favorite images on the left. This is produced by a Zuni cartoonist, Phil Hootie. So what is more important is that from the start, Zunis and Smithsonian anthropologists developed a long-term working relationship. And my research tracks this to show how two groups have mediated cultural values over time. And I conduct ongoing fieldwork to uncover the particulars of the Zuni knowledge system. For methodology, I used in-depth recorded interviews, previously inaccessible tribal archives, and ethnographic observations. This research provided a much-needed contemporary ethnographic study of a Native American tribe when little or no ethnography is being conducted in these communities. I learned how knowledge in Zuni is compartmentalized among clans and religious societies and taught on a need-to-know basis, rather than following Euro-American traditions that privilege transmission on the right-to-know basis. Zuni's privilege transfer through oral tradition and initiation into religious societies. While in Euro-American societies it is assumed knowledge becomes powerful when it is restricted. In Zuni, knowledge is restricted because it is powerful. And this is a fairly interesting fact that when you're using the knowledge, it's believed that you can affect the weather. So you can understand that this is that the using the knowledge comes with immense responsibility. It's not taken lightly. An essential part of this system is the relationship between the knowledge bearer and the learner. It is through these relationships that students learn the responsibilities needed to use this knowledge appropriately. When developing new institutions, such as the Zuni Tribal Museum, Zunis are faced with the challenge of bridging Zuni and Western practices to meet local expectations for the circulation of knowledge. A good example of how the Zuni Museum resolved this problem was the development of a mural illustrating the origins of the Zuni clans. The mural encourages the use of oral tradition, with a knowledgeable practitioner determining the information needed according to the person's age, clan, and responsibilities. In recent years, the museum has capitalized on its success as a mediator, figuring out the implications of new technology, such as internet databases and how best to use these in Zuni. Whereas Western societies see copies as less valuable than originals, in Zuni, duplicates are seen as effective embodiments of knowledge and come with responsibilities. So you can imagine the implications now in a world in which we live with this very rapid circulation of digital information. This can really change how these systems intersect. So I recently started fieldwork to look at the intergenerational dynamics of knowledge and the translocation of Zuni and Hopi families living in cities but commuting back to the reservation for religious and family obligations. Current research models divide Native Americans into urban and reservation communities, and these no longer apply. I hope to resolve this gap in our knowledge. Thank you very much. Yes?
Do the Zunis have a word for gossip?
For gossip? You know, it's interesting. Okay, so the question was, do Zunis have a word for gossip? So I don't know the Zuni term for gossip, but during my fieldwork there was an individual that was sort of recognized as the person who was the most prolific gossiper, and so that was the word that you used. I don't know, you know, so Bessie, so you'd be like, don't be a Bessie. Okay, thank you very much.